Tim Laird here with Secrets of Bluegrass Chefs, the show that takes you out to eat at your favorite local restaurants. And I'm Kevin Harnett.
We've been to a lot of great restaurants through the years, and while many are now part of local history, their flavor and recipes live on.
So join us now for a tasty blast from the past on a Secrets of Bluegrass Chefs Rewind.
Keep it right here, Kentucky. Local programming starts right now with Secrets of Louisville Chefs. This time, a big city gourmet finds a new home in the Bluegrass. Find out why he traded New York for Kentucky and learn the secrets to what makes his food taste so good. We're going backstage at 610 Magnolia with Chef Edward Lee.
It's Sullivan University's Secrets of Louisville Chefs. We're behind the scenes at 610 Magnolia. Get ready. It starts right now. Hello and welcome to Secrets of Louisville Chefs. I'm Kevin Harnett here at 610 Magnolia, and this restaurant is unlike any other in Louisville. And you begin to understand why as soon as you walk in the door.
The dining room is small but airy and open. It has the character of old Louisville mixed with modern art, everything from photography to forks. But clearly the art that makes 610 Magnolia such a prestigious address comes out of the kitchen. The chefs at 610 Magnolia are always serving something different.
One of the things about 610 Magnolia that's a little bit different from other restaurants is that our menu does change week to week.
Executive Chef Edward Lee designs each menu based on one thing: whatever is fresh.
We limit the selections because we feel that this is the best that we have to offer, and we'd like for you to try the best fish or the best lamb or the best meat that's available that week.
Because the menu is so selective, every dinner at 610 Magnolia is a special occasion.
We like for our customers to really enjoy not just the food, but the dining experience.
Dinner is only served at select times, and it always comes with multiple courses.
We'll do little bites of eel or foie gras or ostrich, things that you might not want in larger portions, and you might be a little timid to try if it were as a main course, but we want to try and introduce you to new flavors, new textures, and new meats and fish.
Growing up in New York, Chef Edward Lee has been exposed to a lot of cooking culture, but none as appealing as what he found in Kentucky.
A lot of the products that we use are locally grown. For example, the goat cheese, an incredible goat cheese locally grown here in Indiana. The spoonfish caviar, which is produced and raised here locally in Kentucky. These are products that you're not going to find anywhere else in the world.
Stay with us for dinner, won't you? Chef Edward is making lobster risotto that is dressed to impress, and he's giving up his secrets so you can do the same thing at home. Plus dessert made with fresh berries, pistachios, and caramel. All of that's coming up, but first, an exquisite appetizer prepared by 610's Gabe Souter.
All right, welcome to 610 Magnolia. The first dish we'll be preparing tonight is a salad of grilled asparagus, warm fresh goat cheese, a poached organic egg with Shuckman's spoonbill caviar, and it's going to be dressed with a hibiscus vinaigrette.
The first secret to this turning out right is picking the best asparagus.
We're using some larger pieces, so what we're going to look for in a fresh asparagus is a nice tight head, and also you want a very clean, crisp break.
The chef peels the asparagus right to the base of the heads, then he blanches it in salted boiling water for 30 seconds.
All right, now we've put our blanched asparagus into a very simple marinade of extra virgin olive oil, salt, and pepper. And so we're going to get these nice and coated. And then just dry them off real briefly here on a paper towel so you don't get any excess into the flame.
The asparagus goes onto the grill for 3 to 4 minutes. That's just enough time to learn the secrets to making a perfect poached egg.
Here at 610 Magnolia, we always try to cook very fresh, seasonal dishes. And part of doing that is using local ingredients, and we have some locally raised organic eggs. And we're going to poach this in a water bath of approximately 140 degrees that's been treated with a little bit of salt and about a tablespoon of clear vinegar. And we'll just ease that right into there.
It'll take about 4 minutes to get that perfect poach, but the real secret is in the water.
The secret of that is to keep your water not boiling, but to where it just circulates, and then the salt and the vinegar help to make the egg nice and tight and congeal together. All right, our asparagus and our egg are finished now, and so now we're going to move on to plating our salad. We're going to take our 3 little stems of asparagus and arrange them like so. And then we have some crumbled fresh goat cheese that we've put a little bit of black pepper into. And we're going to take a nice, generous little portion here over the top. All right, and the warmth from our asparagus and from our poached egg should give us a nice melting quality to our goat cheese. And this is where most people would finish up the salad, but at 610 we like to really take it to that next level. And we have some Schuckman's spoonfish caviar here. And so we're going to take a very nice, generous little dollop here. There we go. We're going to dress it with a hibiscus vinaigrette. Hibiscus is a flower. This is the petals from the flower. And we make the vinaigrette by infusing the flowers in a light vinegar, like a sherry vinegar, or white wine vinegar, rice vinegar. And you can leave that in overnight. It gets it nice and infused.
You heard him right. It's just vinegar and flowers. The oil in this vinaigrette is, what you could say, served separately.
And then we're also going to use a very, very high quality Sicilian olive oil. Blend it in here.
High-quality olive oil is the secret to a good vinaigrette, so shop around.
Oh, it's extraordinary difference. It makes all the difference in the world. And for our final ingredient, this is another really important element, is a high-quality sea salt. Sea salt actually has flavor in it other than just salt. There's other minerals. You'll notice a difference immediately. And there we have our finished dish: grilled asparagus with a warm, fresh goat cheese, poached organic egg, Schuckman's spoonfish caviar, and a hibiscus vinaigrette.
It's fresh, Kentucky gourmet, contemporary cooking in the heart of Old Louisville. And that's just the beginning.
Up next, the top dog at 610 Magnolia shows us his cooking secrets.
Chef Edward Lee and his luscious lobster risotto when Secrets of Louisville Chefs returns. Thanks for joining us again on Secrets of Bluegrass Chefs, where this time we're looking back on Kentucky's culinary history. It's a Secrets of Bluegrass Chefs Rewind. Welcome back to Secrets of Louisville Chefs. What do you get when you take a chef from New York City and give him the best ingredients Kentucky has to offer? Ask 610 Magnolia chef Edward Lee.
But I was growing up in sort of the concrete jungle. I always sort of had a longing fantasy to check out how the other half lived. And so this is a great opportunity to actually really see the countryside and to really feel it and to really experience it firsthand.
What started as a visit to Kentucky on the first Saturday in May has turned out to be a new culinary career for Chef Edward.
Being a chef in New York, you're somewhat removed from the agricultural side of what we do, which is cook with ingredients. And here in Kentucky, it's so apparent, the landscape, the farms, the people. and where you're getting your products from. It's a very important part of it. It's become a very, very important part of my cooking now.
Chef Edward is giving new life to this old Louisville restaurant, whose name is simply its address. No gimmicks needed here. The food speaks for itself.
We're going to do a lobster risotto with roasted lobster tails and a little bit of fresh basil oil that we've made here. Everyone's got a different recipe for risotto. We're just going to show you our recipe the way we like to do it.
Many chefs use arborio rice for risotto. Here, they use carnaroli.
Arborio is great. Carnaroli is better. If you can find it, please use the carnaroli. We're going to start right away with about a tablespoon of olive oil. And we're going to sweat some shallots. We've got about 3 tablespoons of shallots here. After that, you want to take your carnaroli rice and you're going to add it to the pan. It's about a cup. You're going to toast the rice for about 1.5 minutes, and it's going to add a little bit of an extra flavor quality to the risotto, a little toasted nut flavor to the end of the risotto. When that's toasted, I have here about 3/4 of a cup of white wine. Okay, we're going to add that to our risotto.
A couple minutes later, and all of the flavor of the wine is inside the rice.
So as you can see now, the pan is pretty much dry. All of that white wine that we added has evaporated and it's a pretty dry pan. You can see the rice is starting to cream a little on its own. That's the natural starch from the rice. What I have here is lobster stock that's simmering. The very important thing about risotto is you do not want to interrupt the temperature of the risotto. So if you add cold stock to a risotto, it's going to seize the rice grains. So what you want to do is always have simmering stock that you add to the hot risotto. And we basically added 1 ladleful at a time. We're going to add some flavoring ingredients. I've got a little bit of grated garlic, and I've got some saffron threads, which go nicely with the lobster. And again, we're going to incorporate that into our risotto.
Each time the rice absorbs all of the stock in the pan, the chef just adds a little more, and so on and so on.
You want to stare down at the risotto, and you want to give it a kind of a real mean, intense look at the risotto. You know, kind of give it a couple of whispers and make sure the risotto knows who's boss.
The secret is patience.
One recipe I got from Italy, from an old lady in Italy, said, you know your risotto's done when 14 drops of sweat have fallen from the tip of your nose into the risotto. We don't do that here.
While we're waiting on the risotto, let's move on to the best part, the lobster tail.
Here I have a lobster tail, and what we've done is I've pre-poached this in boiling water for just 1.5 minutes, and that's just to cook the outside and get the skin nice and the shell nice and red. The inside of the lobster is still raw. You take a nice strong pair of kitchen shears and you rip the tail up. Okay, and this can be discarded. Now you pull that flat. There is a very thin shell on the underbelly of the lobster tail. You take your scissor and you go underneath and you just can crack that with a scissor. You don't need a mallet or a hammer or any of those other things. Now, once that's done, you'll see it reveals the meat on the inside, and what you do is, this is a little bit difficult, but you just pop it. Break that shell, and your lobster tail will come out in one piece.
The chef roasts off the lobster tail along with the meat of the claw.
What I'm going to do is add a little bit of melted butter over the top. of the lobster and the lobster claw. To add some crunch to the lobster, I'm going to add some breadcrumbs. What I've done with the breadcrumbs here is I've added some smoked paprika and a little bit of dried seaweed. A little more butter on top.
6 minutes in a 400-degree oven, and the lobster will be perfect. Now let's check on Chef Edward's risotto.
It's doing very well. As you can see, I've added no cream to this, and yet the risotto is starting to get creamy. And that's the natural starch from the rice.
It's creamy now, but it gets even better with butter.
What I have here is cold butter, about 2 tablespoons worth, cut into small pieces. About 2 tablespoons of creme fraiche. If you cannot find creme fraiche, you can easily substitute sour cream. Creme fraiche is basically a French soured cream. Any American sour cream will work just as nicely. I use creme fraiche because it has a slightly higher fat content, which will allow for a richer and creamier taste at the end of the risotto. Okay, so we add that, creme fraiche. These are some fresh nasturtium leaves, or nasturtium petals from the nasturtium flower. And what I'm going to do is just rough chop that, and we're going to add that to the risotto. They're going to add a little bit of a spice flavor to it, and it's also going to help to color the risotto. And finally, we have about a half a cup of grated Parmesan cheese. The cheese should always go last in the risotto because you do not want to cook the cheese in your risotto. You really just want it to melt and incorporate and cream into the risotto.
It looks delicious, doesn't it? But there's one more step, another act of patience.
Take it off the heat, put a lid on it, and just let it rest for about a minute or 2. So now our roasted lobster is ready to go. You can see the breadcrumbs have gotten a little bit crispy on top, and the lobster is a nice red color. We're going to add about 2 scoops of the lobster risotto. And on top of that, we have our lobster tail. And we're going to garnish that with a little bit of the lobster claw right on top there. For our final garnish, we have 2 things. We're going to add first a little bit of basil oil, which you make simply by pureeing about 5 or 6 bunches of basil with a half a cup of olive oil. And then you let it infuse overnight, strain it, and discard the solids, use the oil. And we're just going to sprinkle that along the edges. And finally, we have a very interesting herb that we're going to pair with the lobster, and it's called hyssop. And it has a very unique, minty, licorice flavor that pairs very nicely with the richness of the lobster and as well as with the risotto. And we're just going to finish the dish with this delicate herb. And you are ready to eat. You have lobster risotto with a roasted lobster tail, basil oil, and hyssop.
What an amazing dish. We're nowhere close to being finished sharing our secrets, though. Coming up next, we're headed back into the kitchen here at 610 Magnolia. It's time for dessert.
It's a classic French pastry with Kentucky berries and bourbon. The secrets to making it yourself. That's coming up next right here on Secrets of Louisville Chefs. Thanks for joining us again on Secrets of Bluegrass Chefs, where this time we're looking back on Kentucky's culinary history.
It's a Secrets of Bluegrass Chefs Rewind.
Welcome back to Secrets of Louisville Chefs on location at 610 Magnolia. If there was one word to describe this restaurant, it would have to be fresh. You see the fresh flowers, there's a fresh menu every week, and most of all, there is a passion for fresh, homegrown ingredients.
One of our goals here is to buy directly from people, whether it's our cheese, whether it's our herbs, vegetables, our meats and fish. We try and cut out the middleman. We go directly to the source, be it the farmer, the fisherman, the lamb raiser. And you can do that here because you are in such close proximity to the farms.
The freshest ingredients available on this day are blueberries, so line cook Nick Sullivan will use them to make a dessert called clafouti.
Clafouti is a rustic French dessert. It's a cross between a custard and a cake. Traditionally it's served with cherries. 610 Magnolia, we like to use the freshest ingredient at its peak. So we're going to use blueberries tonight.
To do this at home, you'll need fresh berries and some small tartlet pans.
We got 2 eggs, about a half a cup of sugar. We're going to mix that together, cream it. Some bourbon vanilla paste. We get this at lots of pasta. We got about 2 tablespoons of flour. That's all-purpose flour. We're going to add about a half a cup of heavy cream. About a half a cup of whole milk. Mix that until it's incorporated. We're going to add 1 heaping teaspoon or a tablespoon of pistachios, ground.
And then the mark of any good dessert, well, at least in my book, 2 tablespoons of melted butter.
Take a ladle full. I'm going to fill these almost all the way up to the top. Now I'm going to bake these in the oven at about 375 to 400 for about 20 to 30 minutes in a water bath. What the water bath does is it distributes the temperature evenly so it gets an even cook.
Keep an eye on them. They're going to be ready when they turn firm and golden on top.
When these are done baking, you're going to set them on some surface that will allow it to cool. And you're going to let them rest there until they're easy to handle. We're going to serve this with a caramel sauce. You just take about a half a cup of sugar and a thick-walled or a thick-bottomed pot and cook it over low heat until it's a dark amber. And then you're going to let it cool a little bit and then add your cream, which is roughly a quarter of a cup. So you're going to take this. Now that we have the caramel sauce down, we're going to take a lemon verbena ice cream. Those who aren't familiar with lemon verbena, it's a fragrant, sweet, lemony herb that's native to Argentina and Chile. It's pretty easy to make. Actually, what you do is you'll take your lemon verbena and your cream, and you'll infuse those flavors, and you'll just make a regular ice cream recipe.
The ice cream goes right on the top, and the final touch, fresh peppermint.
We're just going to place right on top of the ice cream, just like so. There you have it, a blueberry and pistachio clafouti with lemon verbena ice cream and a caramel sauce.
Well, that's all the time we have for this edition of Secrets of Louisville Chefs. We'd like to thank everyone here at 610 Magnolia for hosting us tonight. And thank you for watching. Join us next time when we go behind the scenes at one of Louisville's favorite restaurants. See you next time right here on Secrets of Louisville Chefs.